Okay, so now you've done simple elimination where your x's or y's cancel right away. Now we're going to look at different types of systems where your x's and y's don't cancel out right away, so they're not opposites from the beginning. So take a look at your answer sheet, and we're going to go through it together. All right, so our first step that we need to do is we need to figure out, are our coefficients opposite? So take a look, I have negative 3x and negative 9x. If I were to add down, negative 3x and negative 9x wouldn't cancel. So let's check our y's. I have 7y and I have positive 5y. Again, if I were to add down, those wouldn't cancel. So what I need to do is I need to determine what I can multiply one of the equations by to get them to cancel. So if I look, and this is where it's going to take a little bit of practice, if I look negative 3x and negative 9x, I can multiply negative 3 times the number to get it to cancel with negative 9. So what I'm going to do, if I multiply negative 3 times negative 3, it would give us a positive 9x. And then a positive 9x and negative 9x would cancel. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply this entire equation on top by negative 3. So watch how I do that. So I'm going to put parentheses around that entire thing, and I'm going to put a negative 3 in front. This negative 3 is distributed or multiplied by each part. So negative 3 times negative 3x gives me a positive 9x. Negative 3 times positive 7y gives me negative 21y. And negative 3 times negative 16 gives me a positive 48. So notice how I changed this equation to give us a number that would cancel out or eliminate with this other equation. So I'm going to write the other equation underneath it. Negative 9x plus 5y equals 16. And now, again, I'm going to put that big addition sign in front, and I'm going to add down. So negative 9x and negative 9x, they cancel out. So now I need to do negative 21 plus 5. Negative 21 plus 5 gives me negative 16y. And I need to do 48 plus 16. 48 plus 16 gives me 64. Now I need to solve for y. So I need to divide each side by negative 16. My negative 16 cancel, and I'm left with y equals 64 divided by negative 16 gives me negative 4. So now I solve for one of my variables. Now what I need to do, go back to my steps. I need to plug in to solve for my other variable. So when you do this, just a word of the wise, make sure you use your original equation. So I'm going to use one of these two equations. I'm going to use the bottom one. So I'm going to rewrite it. I have negative 9x plus 5y equals 16. And now I'm going to substitute. I'm going to plug negative 4 in for y. So I have negative 9x plus 5 times negative 4 equals 16. I'm going to do the math. 5 times negative 4 gives me negative 20. And again, I'm going to bring everything else down. So I'm going to bring down my negative 9x equals 16. I'm going to draw my line. I have to move this negative 20 to the other side, so I make it a positive 20. So I'm left with negative 9x equals 36. Divide each side by negative 9, and I'm left with x equals 36 divided by negative 9. It's going to give me negative 4. So now I know my solution. Again, I got to write it as an ordered pair. So my x value, let's see if this will work here. My x value is negative 4, and my y value was negative 4. So I have negative 4, negative 4. Now we need to go and do our check. When I do my check, that's the only way I can figure out if this solution is in fact correct. So I'm going to rewrite my first equation, negative 3x plus 7y equals negative 16. You should feel pretty good with checking by now. I'm going to plug in my x, negative 3 times negative 4, plus 7 times negative 4, and it should give us negative 16. So negative 3 times negative 4 gives me a positive 12. Positive 7 times negative 4 is going to give me negative 28, or minus 28, and it should equal negative 16. Now I just have to do the math. 12 minus 28, doing your calculator, we get negative 16, and it does in fact equal negative 16. So then negative 4 works for this equation. Now we got to go through and check it with our other one. So I'm going to rewrite my other equation. Negative 9x plus 5y equals 16. And I'm going to plug in negative 4 for x and negative 4 for y. And it should give us 16. Negative 9 times negative 4 gives me a positive 36. 5 times negative 4 gives me a negative 20 or minus 20, and it should equal 16. And 36 minus 12 does give me 16. So 16 equals 16, and it checks. Now that you finish the video, you're going to go ahead and do a worksheet that's just like this. And then when you're done, you're going to do your exit ticket.